This is the Forbes Books Podcast, conversations with amazing humans who are impacting the world of business and beyond. Hola, I'm Joe Pardavila, and we all love to shop on Amazon. Well, most of us do. My mother's not a big fan. But very few of us know how hard it is to sell on Amazon. Well, my guest today has unlocked the secrets to building a successful company on the world's most successful e-commerce platform. Stephen Pope is a powerhouse in the world of e-com and Amazon selling as the founder of My Amazon Guy and an agency that boasts an impressive $20 million in annual revenue and over 400 active brands under its belt. Stephen is a force to be reckoned with. Stephen, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So, Stephen, I want to start with a little bit of context. How did we let Amazon get as big as it gotten? It's ridiculous, as I think the stats are, depending on what you look at, it's like the third biggest search engine, which people don't realize that Amazon is a search engine. No one buys anything until they look on Amazon first. And it's shocking. You're hearing a lot of stuff about, monopolies being broken up all over the place. But Amazon has gotten to this behemoth size where basically there's nothing, they can break off the little chunks of it, whether it's the video or the AWS part of it, all that. They could do that. But at the end of the day, they have just taken over e-commerce. How do we let this happen?
Well, I think everybody loves brown boxes showing up on their doorstep, a little smiley face on it. I think that's the bottom line. But Amazon might be the third largest search engine, but it is the largest for product search. And so consumers are no longer going to Google to look for a product. They go to Amazon first, and then maybe they'll go off the radar if they can't find what they're looking for, which is pretty rare these days. You can buy a car on Amazon, you can buy unicorn meat, you can get anything on Amazon. But the consumer has really won from this monopoly. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, we really need to address that Amazon is a great customer experience. Now, for sellers, not so much, which is why I'm in business and why I have a 500-person agency, is because Amazon treats sellers like junk. But the buyer has definitely won from this monopoly. And if we look at monopolies historically for the past 100 years in the United States, usually the consumer doesn't win when monopolies occur. But this is the first time when the consumer really has won. Now, there's going to be some counter sayings of what may or may not Amazon doesn't do this, or they lock down the buy box or the pricing models, and they do a lot of uncompetitive monopoly collapsing sort of events, and those would be true statements. But overall, Amazon went through and built a logistics network that nobody can rival, nobody can touch, and they're a decade ahead of everybody. Walmart is not a marketplace. Right? You'll never hear about a native-born Walmart brand. It never will happen. Why? Because they're not a marketplace. They're a retailer with a website, and they happen to let you sell on it. But the thing is that if you wanted to launch a brand new brand today and sell it somewhere, you could have a thriving brand in 6 weeks on Amazon. You cannot say that about anywhere else in the entire world right now. You can't say that about Shopify. You definitely can't say that about Walmart. Why? Because Walmart cheats its algorithm. They put the retail products ahead of the rando, no-name brand, a la you and me, the guy showing up trying to make a buck. So Amazon has done a lot of good things. They've made shipping fast. They've made it convenient across the country, and it's reliable. And a lot of countries in the world don't have any of those things. So Amazon's brought a lot to the table. And we talk about pricing and having a singular page where everything is purchased, one product, one listing. Very different than the eBay days. Let me tell you, like you go on eBay, you can find the same product listed by thousands of different people. And Amazon created a catalog. They're basically the Sears catalog of the internet, right? If we really boil it down. So they've done a lot of good things. It's been a good consumer experience for the most part. Now, you did mention there are some monopoly-breaking lawsuits ongoing. I think they're mostly a farce these days. I don't think Amazon will ever be broken up. The government's in bed with Amazon, and they have Alexa spying devices in all our homes and all those good things. So Amazon and the government, they're friendly. They're not going to break each other up. Will they put on a little charade and have, whoever Jeff Bezos' replacement was, because nobody remembers Andy Jassy.
Right.
Are they going to have him parade down to the congressional hearing? And that's pretty much just for the cover up. You know what I mean? So nothing's going to come of that.
You said that they're 10 years ahead of anyone. Why don't you think anyone has either tried or attempted to do what Amazon does. Just like basically, like what many companies do in olden times, like hire the top executive from Amazon to do this at my company and we'll do that. Because as you said, it's pro-consumer. It really is. And we're going to get into the seller side of it. But the idea that for a fee of, which is, it's getting higher and higher every year, the Prime membership. But the fact that they're throwing in free video content on top of what you're already getting for your shipping, and if you're ordering a lot of shipping, you make that money back within a week. So why wasn't anyone or hasn't been able to even come close to doing what Amazon does?
Because logistics is really damn hard. It's just the bottom line. Like, it's really hard, right? Like, if you structurally look at the investments that Amazon put out over the last 2 decades, it's insane, right? Like the buildings and infrastructure, these football-sized stadium FBA facilities are immensely large, complex ecosystems. And so if we look at who has the potential to compete with Amazon, it's the Chinese. I hate the fact that I have to say that, but it's the truth, right? Temu and TikTok, those are the saviors in waiting for us, because Walmart's not going to do it. They bought Jet. They couldn't integrate Jet. They couldn't take care of business, right? They had the logistical infrastructure, but they didn't have the e-commerce system to integrate. Temu and TikTok have the audiences. Temu with its up and coming, let's get around customs by shipping direct from China super fast, and then we'll subsidize it from the Chinese shipping mantra. By the way, it's not a great customer experience to buy from Temu. Anybody that's tested can tell you that. But they are growing, and they're the next in line for potential. But then we got like Shopify. Shopify decided, no, you know what? We're not going to buy the physical building. So they're out because they don't have the infrastructure. Amazon was fighting against Shopify, and then all of a sudden your enemy is my friend, right? So enemy of my enemy is my friend. So now Shopify has teamed up with Amazon. Now they're fighting TikTok and Temu. So that's the ecosystem we're playing in right now. But I'm here to tell you, hiring execs from a current infrastructure doesn't work, and here's why. The Amazon execs were hired by what's called Amazon aggregators, right? And I bought the website AmazonAggregators.com. If anybody's curious, there's like 100 of them. About $11 billion entered the space. They went in, they bought up all these Amazon brands, but then they almost all went under, including Thrasio, which was like 1/4 of all the money raised was at Thrasio. They just declared bankruptcy. And so you can't just hire knowledge and transfer it over, right? It doesn't work. What makes Amazon work is the infrastructure. It's not the people, right? The people are cogs in the wheel. And similarly, with Amazon brands, the reason the Amazon aggregators, when they bought all those brands up, didn't work is because they thought suits and ties and Excel formulas could allow them to make a buck. That's simply not true, right? Like, it takes tenacity and grit to sell on the Amazon platform. So that's like the ecosystem in a nutshell.
Last thing about this, because I want to get into what you do. How do you think they pulled this off? Was this a happy accident? Because we all know the story, Jeff Bezos selling books out of his garage. But was there some sort of evil, diabolical plan hatched years ago by Bezos and his founders to become the eventual one-stop shop for everything? Or do you think they kind of just stumbled into this?
I think he's a visionary, and I think it was all according to plan, right? Like, how else do you take the investments that they were doing as early as they were doing it, right? So my first time selling on Amazon, I was at a women's plus-size clothing company. It was German-owned over in Baltimore. They didn't even do FBA at the time. And I was part of the beta program for advertising on Amazon. So I was like super OG way back in the day, might be like 12 years at this point. And so at that time, Amazon had, coming up on 100 different FBA facilities. And that was before most brands would even touch or use them. So Amazon has that kind of moat that they have built around themselves, and those buildings and that real estate and the infrastructure is critical to pull off what they've done. They are a vertically integrated logistics company, first and foremost. Now, having said that, for the very first time in the last year, Amazon now makes more money from Amazon advertising than they do AWS. So wow. Amazon is now not only growing and getting bigger. And that's very rare these days, right? You usually have to pick one of the two. Amazon's doing both. And for almost like a decade, Amazon picked growth over profit. Most companies don't have that sort of runway, a decade of investment, and the stockholders rewarded that year after year because it was part of the vision, it was part of the plan. But today, people are wondering, is Amazon topped out? No, they're going to grow like another 20% year over year. Like, it's nuts seeing their quarterly reports come out. Like, how is that even possible? And it's because more people are still picking up Prime memberships. It's like 82% of the United States has now got like a Prime membership, which is insane.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just so crazy. All right. So, common question I like to bring up from time to time with anyone who joins me on this pod is we discuss the entrepreneur's conundrum. Find a problem, fix the problem. What was the problem that you identified, and how did you fix it?
Selling on Amazon is really hard, and it's confusing, right? A lot of people, it's the greatest wealth transfer in my entire lifetime, and it's made me a millionaire. It's made a lot of people I know very wealthy. But the process to get items listed on Amazon.com is anything but straightforward. And starting a private label brand and trying to attract customers has never been more difficult. So that's the problem that I decided to solve, right? So the first brand that I picked up that hired me was off a LinkedIn post. In under 48 hours, I got laid off from a company that was a lighting company. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'll just do some consulting on the side while I figure things out. Well, within 48 hours, I signed a contract for several $1,000s a month. I immediately started growing their brand. And when I realized they had 90 SKUs, they were in Walmart, publicly traded company. They couldn't get Amazon to work. They were goose egging Amazon, and they were a behemoth of a publicly traded company. Within 90 days, I got them to $80,000 a month in revenue. And it took a ton of Excel work and Excel files. And I'm like, what the frick? Like, why is this so difficult? Template files. And so what I discovered is the catalog challenges that brands would have. It wasn't just advertising. It wasn't just search engine optimization. It was catalog first challenges to merchandise products on Amazon. I realized there wasn't any videos about how to do this. I made the first video on YouTube about how to create an Amazon brand store. 250,000 hits later, I had my cell phone in that cell phone number listed in that video initially when I first launched my company. And so people would call me up and be like, help, I need help. And within, that same time frame, that first 3 months that I made the agency, I also was generating $42,000 in MRR, monthly recurring revenue. And I had to hire people out of my basement until the fire marshal stopped by and kicked us out, right? Like, I had 8 cars parked in the cul-de-sac, and he's like, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right. I should not do that. God bless the neighbors that allowed it as long as they did. But I created jobs, right? And it's a respectable thing. But that was the problem I realized. It's that Amazon cared so much about the buyer that they basically treated the seller like dog meat. It was just terrible. It was just terrible to see what happened to sellers. And so I decided that I was going to be the most seller-centric company in the world, while Amazon was the most buyer-centric.
Wow, that's awesome. And you mentioned the fact that the company you were working with went from $0 to $80,000 in a month. Can you give me the gist of like what you did, like what steps you took? You mentioned there were a lot of Excel spreadsheets involved and everything like that, but is it tangible, intangible that you were doing that was able to make that sort of hockey-shaped curve?
So I actually do share all of my trade secrets. So this, but it's also very basic at the same time. So okay. I have over 2,000 videos on YouTube where I give this stuff all away for free. And I became an education company. And the reason I did this is because when I was at a gold and silver company called Atmex.com, I created like 2,000 pages of content, and it ended up increasing the website traffic by 10 million uniques year over year. So Early on, when I first made the agency, I knew that I was going to have a content machine. So I generated content piece after content piece and figured out, like, anytime a customer asked me a question, I would shoot a video and put it on YouTube. That's become my moat, and it's made us the Wikipedia about selling on Amazon. So the reason I share that is because you were dancing around whether I could share the secrets, and here they are. PPC and SEO to drive traffic, design and catalog work to improve conversion rates. Everything that I do for brands on Amazon falls under one of those buckets. If we could talk about my number one hack about improving a main image and adding a keyword to it, and it will triple your click-through rates, and it will also help your traffic and conversion. But no matter how you slice it, those basics are what scale on Amazon.
And can you break down in English what that first line thing was? PPC, SEO. Give me a little more layman's terms there.
So pay-per-click advertising, so it's a pay-to-play model, just like you would click on a Google ad. Search engine optimization would be like your earned media, and this is going to include keywords that rank at the top of the page without paying for them. What a lot of people don't realize is you need sales on Amazon to get sales, right? It's a circular logic kind of statement, but the more sales you get, the more your rankings go up. And this isn't true about Google or a Shopify site or anything like that, right? You could turn off your Google ads and your Shopify site will just tank, right? Because there's no organic rankings that are supplied by that. But on Amazon, the algorithm rewards sales. So the more sales you get, the more you rank. The more you rank, the more sales you get. Circular logic again. The design aesthetics, that's going to include your image stack, your main image, your secondary images, your video. You're going to create a brand store, a brand story, A+ content, enhanced brand content, all those good things to convince the consumer that they're in the right place. So as one example to that, if we were going to talk customer avatars for a moment, if you were going to try and sell a Russian mail order bride, your customer avatar would be a 3-time divorced truck driver, right? And if we were going to talk about bamboo floss and say the same thing, well, who's the customer avatar for bamboo floss? It's not everybody with teeth, right? That's like the scratch the surface demographic. Oh, I want to sell to anybody with teeth. Whereas that Russian mail order bride, a very absurd example to be memorable, but is very hyper specific. You know that if you could pick every single 3-time divorced truck driver, the chances of them executing a purchase on that would probably be a higher conversion rate than any other demographic. And that's what you need to do on Amazon is to display your customer avatar and do so in a way that narrows your niche, right? You can't sell a dog treat to a cat owner. You can't sell a cat treat to a dog owner. Your listing needs to be hyper specific. So my job as a marketer is to come in here and tell you to do the opposite of what you do in politics. In politics, you get this big giant tent. Everybody come vote for me, and I'm for the people. I'm for you, and I'm for you, and I'm for everybody. But in marketing, the opposite is true. I am not for you. In fact, the more I push you away, the more I'm going to pull some other people towards me. And so that's what a marketer's job is to do, is to push and pull people towards purchasing and using customer avatars and using the logic and some technologies and some other creative copywriting and all that good stuff. But after you slurp that all together and put it in the blender, the smoothie that comes out is something that has to have a very specific flavor, because if it has too many flavors, then nobody wants to drink it.
Wow. That's awesome. You may want to update the politics analogy, because as you know, now it's all about serving this very niche, crazy base. So you may want to update that one now. But I get what you're saying. That when we were growing up, Stephen, you wanted everybody to vote for you, but now you only care about like a small amount of people that are actually going to go to the polls. But that's neither here nor there.
Sure.
Let's talk about reviews. The expert at my company at Advantage Forbes Books, who does the Amazon stuff, talks about the importance of reviews and how important that is to the algorithm. That's books, but can the same be said for most products on Amazon when it comes to reviews, and obviously positive reviews?
I think people are overweighting reviews. And I think as a case example, Joe, if I asked you, what was the last item you bought on Amazon? What would that be?
I bought a table for my pool, like a side table.
How many reviews did it have?
It had a few thousand.
Okay, so and then here's the best question though. What was the name of the brand?
No idea.
Nobody ever remembers the name of the brand, right? So even though it has tens of thousands of reviews, you have no idea what the brand is. So typically what happens, and this is more true for a furniture item, more reviews on furniture is a little bit more important, but a commodity-based item, if you show up to Amazon and try and sell your garlic press or whatever object you want to sell, if you just launch it at a lower price, people are more likely to purchase it. So instead of focusing on review generation, I usually tell the brands that I work with, let's just launch it at a lower price. It's cheaper, it's more cost effective than to try and chase reviews, right? You can't incentivize reviews, can't pay for reviews, obviously. But the weighting on conversion rate, the difference between 1 review in 20 and 20 reviews in 100 is pretty nominal. It's a lot smaller than people think. People aren't scrolling through and doing a lot of review comparison these days, right? And they even have AI summaries of reviews now. It's getting really interesting to see what happens next. But But what I think is that people just need to focus on a high quality, optimized listing, high quality product. And if they go to market at a lower price, they can overcome the review challenges. There's also a number one new release badge that if you can get that is more powerful than 1,000 reviews as well.
In terms of what can be sold on Amazon, we kind of joked how omnipresent at the beginning is, and you can literally get anything you want.
Yep.
But is there a limit to what someone who's interested in either working with you, learning, checking out your YouTube videos, is there no bounds for what can be sold on Amazon?
Well, there are some categories the Amazon is hostile to. I walked into one of them myself. So I was selling some parody tumblers and, Star Wars products, or Starbucks meets Yoda and whatever else. And Amazon yanked all of my entire tumbler line, just toast, gone on Black Friday, last Black Friday. And so, yes, there are some products that if you launch on Amazon, you'll have some challenges. And they're very hostile to political channels, only some of them. The ones that they agree with, they're fine. They're also hostile to anything pro-Second Amendment. They're hostile to anything religious, like I catch up with Jesus, like sort of meme shirts seem to have a challenge. But other things they're okay with. So Amazon very much has an agenda, and it's very obvious what that agenda is. But at the end of the day, most products can easily be launched on Amazon. It is the best place to go to find pretty much anything. And the products that aren't on Amazon, those are the products that I would want to sell on a website and build a moat off of a marketplace. But those are by far, seldom and in between.
And you mentioned your Tumblr thing. What was the reasoning they gave you for not being able to sell those?
They wanted to get out of the parody business entirely. So they, even though I never got an intellectual property strike of any kind from these brands, Amazon decided, you know what, we're going to eliminate the entire category. I was like half the category, to be fair. I dominated that category, but sometimes Amazon does that. That's it. And I ended up selling my private label brand because it became such a headache for me. I had to go focus on my agency, and I just was like, you know what, this is too much. Simultaneous to that, though, I opened up a retail arbitrage account. I do about $8 million a year on that one. So it's not like I'm hurting, but the $1 million private label brand, I was like, man, I got to slough that one off. So I stopped thinking about it. I feel really weird. I'm supposed to be an Amazon expert, and I'm getting my getting beat over here. So there's a lot of things Amazon does. So I'll give you one more example. So about 6 years ago, I launched this hot sauce on Amazon. It was the first to market with a sweet heat. I spent $1,500 making this bright, awesome label. And then I paid Amazon to do the prep work. I was doing this out of my garage at this point. And Amazon puts the bubble wrap on. This is a 5-pound glass bottle. They freaking shipped it out in padded envelopes. And they refused to ship it out in boxes. So the first day when I had sent out my orders, I get my first text message comes in from my brother, and he just sends me a picture. I'm like, what am I looking at? There's just hot sauce everywhere. He's like, this is your hot sauce bottle. They shipped it in a padded envelope. I'm like, what the frick? Within 6 hours, I had like 20 text messages from everybody that was supporting my launch and everything else. So Amazon is a company that you have to be structurally thinking about, like, how do I make this idiot proof? Because if you don't, they'll ship your glass 5-pound hot sauce in a padded envelope.
So let's use that as an example. Say someone's listening to this and they have the next great hot sauce. How can they prevent it from being shipped in an envelope as opposed to being in the box? Because I think you at the top, you talk about those smiley face boxes that we're all familiar with. And then obviously sometimes we'll get an envelope. What differentiates what gets put in an envelope and what gets put in a box?
If they can put it in an envelope, they will, just flat out. So the solution here would be to box it before it gets to Amazon for individual unit sale. And that, of course, defeated the whole purpose of me paying Amazon the prep work.
Yeah, it's a learning moment for you. And in terms of how you help people, I mean, I think a lot of people, in this day and age, especially, living in this world of Amazon, we get everything 2 days. They want that quick fix. If they think, okay, I'll connect with Stephen Pope, I'll go watch some YouTube videos. I'm going to make a lot of money really fast. But let's talk about how fast this growth can happen or doesn't happen, because there could be many factors. The product could just be shit for all we know. But when it comes to the speed of taking your lessons, watching your videos, learning what you do, how long could that take? Is it a marathon as opposed to a sprint?
It's most definitely a marathon. The sprint would be when you launch the product, but after that, it's a marathon to keep it going. But A lot of people expect this to be something where they can become wealthy within a year. And I'm here to tell you, it's not that. It's not passive income. It's like running a full-on business. There are many businesses or brands that will be willing to go negative in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to create a moat, to create their own product brand. Zule Kitchen in the cosmetics for kitchen cosmetic and gadgets is a great case example of this. They'll sell an item at a loss for 3 years to get Amazon position 1. And they do that with the garlic press. They did that again with apple slicers. They've done it with dozens of kitchen products. So if you think you're going to do that, my caution to you is be prepared to have a big check, first of all. But second of all, you don't have to win at the large scale to be a winner on Amazon. So as a solopreneur, you could get a 25% net margin. But the second you start hiring people, you're going to be looking at a 15% net margin in a good year, right? And so just understanding that that's what Amazon is. It's a platform. It's the best platform to sell an e-commerce product in the world on. It's easier. It's faster. You can get up and running in 6 weeks. All of those things are true. But it's not passive income. It's very freaking difficult, right? Like cue the Brad Pitt soundbite right there. It's fun and enlightening, and it's exciting to see like all of the things you learn along the way, but it will be extraordinarily frustrating at the same time. You're going to pay your tax. You're going to make thousands of dollars in mistakes. You're going to be waiting for China to send your goods, and then Amazon's going to lose your goods, and then Amazon's going to yank your goods, and it's just like, what am I doing? Why am I working for Amazon? All those thoughts are waiting for you someday. You should still do it if you're prepared to accept all of that. And that's obviously, I'm biased to say that I'm my Amazon guy, right? But a lot of people hire me because those challenges become so sophisticated and complex, they need additional outside support.
Yeah, I mean, you paint such a bleak picture, Steve. You're almost scaring people off.
I find that it helps me gain more clients from telling the truth, though. Like the more I speak about my truth and my experience, the more people are like, oh my gosh, if he's telling me the truth, then the whole experience will be like this, and I want to work with him. And so it works out. It's a unique position. I like to be an education company more than I like to be an agency, and it's made my agency very large because of that.
That's awesome. All right. And let's talk about D2C companies. And I interviewed a ton of D2C entrepreneurs during the pandemic when obviously e-commerce just exploded. In 2020. The chief complaint were many that you had kind of mentioned here, but the fact that you have zero access to the data, so you have no idea who's clicking on your product, buying your product. You really can't control where it's going to come up on the search unless you practice a lot of the methodologies that you teach. And the fact that you give up a big part of control of a new company, where most entrepreneurs, when they're starting a company, it's all on them, especially if they're a solopreneur. They handle everything and they control everything. But when it comes to Amazon, you give up a huge amount of control. For the entrepreneurs listening to this and they can't sleep at night when think about how much out of control their business is because a behemoth like Amazon is involved, what do you say to that person to either allay their fears or just say, hey, listen, if you don't want to go that route, just go direct from consumer yourself? What do you say to that person?
Well, it depends on your goals, right? So if you want to have full control, Amazon's not going to be your best friend. They're going to be a 1/3 partner. So you're going to have a partner to be selling on Amazon. There are many thousands of different products that work better on D2C than work on Amazon. So if that's you, go D2C, right? I'll give you an example. Phone cases do better D2C than they do on Amazon. Why? Because the Chinese have commoditized phone cases on Amazon. And as an American brand, unless you have a super powerful brand, you're not going to do as well on Amazon. I tried to help a multi-million-dollar, $15 million brand launch on Amazon, and I couldn't get them past $20,000 a month in sales on Amazon, and I was pulling my hair out. I had hair back then. I was super surprised. I was like, come on, this should be an easy cakewalk. When you're giant over here, it should be easy on Amazon. So there are many D2C products that won't transfer over. But the reason why Amazon is so elegant, why it's so nice to work with, is because 82% of the US population is a Prime member, right? Like your conversion rate is 10% on Amazon. You can sell faster and launch fully and sell out of an MOQ that you just picked up off Alibaba in the first couple of months. It's incredible what you can do. Doesn't mean it will happen, but it can happen is the point. It's the American dream. It can happen. And for many people, it does happen. It doesn't happen for everybody, right? And you got to pick the right product. And there's too many Me Too white label versions that float out there that don't add any value. All those are facts. But I love selling on Amazon despite all of the challenges it brings about, because that's where the consumer is. And a smart marketer knows it's easier to go where the consumer is versus trying to pull them and create demand.
Finally, where along should someone be in their journey to connect with someone like you, read up on you? Is it when they have that idea, when they've developed the product? Does it matter when they start to do the homework when it comes to launching a product on Amazon? Who is a perfect fit for my Amazon guy?
I believe in never losing a customer. So every customer is a perfect time and perfect fit for me. And to showcase that example, I have courses to help the new guy that wants to go solo. I have small a la carte services like trademarks to help the guy that's just getting launched. And I've got full service, expensive services where we go in and do it for you, soup to nuts. It doesn't matter to me. I've learned that if I create a one-stop shop for every step along the way, it's made my business bigger and bigger because of it. I just flat out enjoy helping people and educating the challenges that go through, right? So there's going to be somebody listening to this that is going to agree with you, Joe. I'll be like, that's bleak. I don't want to do this. And to that person, we just coach them out and we just help them. A fast no is way better than a slow, stagnant no over the course of a year or two where they go try it out, right? I'd rather take a fast no all day. Sales 101. For the guy that's like listening to this, is like, yeah, I think I can do that. We help them too. And we're part of their journey. So I just enjoy doing this entire process, and it's been a passion for me. And anytime Amazon pisses me off, I shoot a video and I post it online, and everybody's like, yeah, that happened to me too. And then I'm like, yeah, let's go after Amazon, except none of us really can. And it's a monopoly, but what do you do?
As we started the whole conversation with it. All right, so folks want to find out more about you. Where's the best place to start, Stephen?
If you want to hire us, myamazonguy.com. If you just want to learn, go on YouTube, type in My Amazon Guy, or ask any Amazon question. Chances are one of my videos will pop up. I also hang out on LinkedIn. I post several times a day on there, actually, so I'm pretty prolific. So hope to meet more and more of you guys. And if you saw us on Joe's podcast today, let me know, and that way I can screenshot it back to Joe and be like, see, they listened.
That'd be nice. All right, well, he is the My Amazon Guy, Stephen Pope. Thanks for the time, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Joe.
And that's going to do it for another Forbes Books podcast. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes. You can always connect with me on X, LinkedIn, or Instagram at Joe Pardavila, and on TikTok at JPardavila. And please don't forget the golden rule and treat others as you want to be treated. Thanks for listening. Until next time, adios.